And several countries are now speaking out about the leaked documents that appear to be from the Pentagon. They're saying the information in the documents isn't true. NTD's Jason Perry has the details.
We don't know how big or how bad it can get. I mean,
U.S. national security agencies are assessing the damage to relations with allies and other countries after what appears to be classified documents from the Pentagon leaked online. For example, one of the documents classified as top secret says Egyptian officers were planning to provide 40,000 rockets to Russia. Former Defense Secretary Mark Esper said that Egypt used to buy weapons from Russia.
Because we give them over $1 billion a year in assistance, and to see them turn around and then use their own currency to buy Russian arms was troubling for me. And this is just another example of a so-called partner dealing with the Russians. Now, we don't know whether it's true or not, so we need to get to the bottom of that, and I think this will be an oversight question for Congress.
A senior Egyptian official denied the allegations, according to Egyptian state-affiliated media. And Britain's Ministry of Defense gave a statement on Tuesday. They said there was a serious level of inaccuracy contained in the documents. And another country the U.S. was allegedly spying on is South Korea. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin recently spoke with South Korea's Defense Minister Lee Jong-sup, according to a Pentagon official. South Korea's Deputy National Security Advisor said this about their meeting.
The defense ministers of the two countries spoke on the phone this morning and agreed that they have the same views. Much of the disclosed information was fabricated.
One more country now affected by the leak is the United Arab Emirates. The leaked document titled Russia-UAE Intelligence Relationship Deepening shows Russian intelligence officers bragging that they convinced the UAE to work together and against U.S. and U.K. intelligence agencies. On Monday, the Emirati government said the claims that the UAE had deepened ties with Russian intelligence was categorically false. The United States believes the person who leaked the documents is most likely an American due to the classification levels. And U.S. officials are now going through printing records to try to obtain more information about who could be behind the leak. Jason Perry, NTD News.
And documents obtained by America First Legal Foundation suggest that the Biden White House was involved in the FBI raid on Trump's Florida home. A senior counselor at the foundation said it appears that either the DOJ or the FBI initiated an unusual request for access to the records at Mar-a-Lago. NTD's Arlene Richards has more details.
Since August 2022, legal watchdog America First Legal has been conducting a Freedom of Information Act investigation of the raid on former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. A key component of the investigation has been to obtain communications from the National Archives and Records Administration relating to the 15 boxes of records that were maintained at Mar-a-Lago. In a press release published on Monday, the AFL provided an internal email exchange at the archives, which appears to be discussing arrangements made with the White House for access to the Trump records through a special access request. AFL senior counselor Reed Rubenstein explains how the request works.
Typically, it refers to a request by an incoming or a current president for access to ministerial or procedural records from a prior administration. Things like, for example, ethics policies or other things of that nature.
He said it was previously reported that the FBI obtained access to the records after the Archives Office of Inspector General referred the case to them.
But at no time did the archives or anybody else affiliated with this matter or process say that there had been a request from the White House for the former president's records, and that the FBI was acting pursuant to or in response to such a request.
Rubenstein said he doesn't know who actually made the request, but
we certainly have enough evidence to support the notion that there is a highly politicized Department of Justice that works very closely with elected officials in the Congress, and it works very closely with appointed officials in the Biden White House.
As a result of this new finding, the AFL is now demanding that the archives turn over records related to the White House's involvement in the Mar-a-Lago raid. We reached out to the DOJ, the National Archives, and the White House for comment, but did not receive a response by airtime. Arlene Richards, NTD News.
And staying in California, Whole Foods closed its flagship location in San Francisco on Monday due to safety concerns. Many social media videos of brazen crime and the recent murder of a high-profile tech executive have brought the issue of public safety into the spotlight once again.
After being open for just over a year, Whole Foods has closed its downtown San Francisco store on Monday due to crime. The store is located near Civic Center, just about a block from an area many dubbed to be a 24-hour open-air drug market. The SF Standard reported that a Whole Foods spokesperson said the closing isn't a permanent decision, and that, quote, if we feel we can ensure the safety of our team members in the store, we will evaluate a reopening. The closing comes less than a week after tech founder Bob Lee was found stabbed and murdered, and brings up issues of crime and safety in the city. San Francisco Supervisor Matt Dorsey, whose district includes the area of the Whole Foods, tweeted that he is disappointed but sadly unsurprised about the news. He said, quote, our neighborhood waited a long time for this supermarket, but we're also well aware of problems they've experienced with drug-related retail theft, adjacent drug markets, and the many safety issues related to them. He added he's working on legislation with Supervisor Catherine Stephanie to get the San Francisco police fully staffed within 5 years. Jason Blair, NTD News, San Francisco.
Over to the West Coast, California is stockpiling misoprostol, an abortion pill. The move comes after a U.S. district judge in Texas ordered the FDA to pause approval of mifepristone, another abortion pill.
Governor Gavin Newsom announced on Monday that California secured an emergency stockpile of 2 million misoprostol pills, a commonly used abortion medication. This comes after a Texas judge sought to block access to mifepristone, another abortion pill. In a statement, Newsom said, we will not cave to extremists who are trying to outlaw these critical abortion services. Medication abortion remains legal in California. On Friday, U.S. District Judge Matthew Kaczmarek ordered a federal approval to stop the FDA from approving mifepristone. It would remove the drug from pharmacy shelves across the country. The FDA first approved mifepristone in 2000, which is taken with misoprostol.
And now to sports news. Here's NTD's Dave Martin with today's top stories.
Thank you, Steph. After just a week and a half of play, the new baseball rules seem to be working as the average game time is down more than half an hour from last season. In addition, batting averages are up 16 points as the infield shifts have been effectively banned. Meanwhile, stolen base attempts are up from 1 per game last year to 1.3, and players are having a higher success rate stealing them. The game was revolutionized in the offseason with pitch clocks implemented, infield positions limited to 2 on each side of second base, and limits on how many times a pitcher could try to pick off a runner, all in an attempt to add more action. And in women's basketball news, WNBA star Brittany Griner has announced plans to write a memoir about her imprisonment in Russia. The 7-time All-Star was detained in February of 2022 on drug possession charges and was eventually sentenced to 9 years before a prisoner swap brought her home. Griner says she hopes the book will raise the awareness of other Americans held overseas. And for your sports viewing schedule tonight, the NBA will start the play-in tournament with the 2 7 versus 8 seed games as the Miami Heat host the Atlanta Hawks in the East, while the Minnesota Timberwolves play out the Lakers in the West. The winners advance to the playoffs, with the losers each giving one more chance to win on Friday. And in baseball, busy night. All 30 teams are in action, including the lone undefeated one left, the Tampa Bay Rays, who at 10-0 are off to the best start of any team in more than 3 decades. They host the Boston Red Sox. And finally, for you hockey fans, another big night in the NHL. 10 games, including one with the Boston Bruins, who with 2 games left can extend their record for most wins in a season. Meanwhile, they're also just 1 point behind Montreal's season record of 132. They host the Washington Capitals. And that's it for your sports news today. Steph, over to you.